Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Perkenalkan, nama saya Dwi Linda Kusuma, SS M.Hum. Saya adalah dosen pada program studi Sastra Inggris, Fakultas Bahasa dan Seni, Universitas Negeri Jakarta. Sebagai dosen pada program studi Sastra Inggris, saya telah mengampu beberapa mata kuliah seperti listening, writing, prose, poetry, dan drama. Pada kesempatan ini, saya akan menyampaikan salah satu mata kuliah yang saya ampu, yaitu mata kuliah prose atau prosa dengan bobot 3 SKS. Mata kuliah prose merupakan mata kuliah yang wajib ditempuh oleh mahasiswa program studi S1 Sastra Inggris. Mata kuliah ini membekali pengetahuan mahasiswa terkait jenis, elemen kebahasaan, estetika, serta makna prosa melalui unsur intrinsik dan ekstrinsik. Mata kuliah ini juga membekali kemampuan mahasiswa untuk melakukan analisis kritis dan apresiasi prosa dengan menemukan isu dominan yang terkandung di dalam prosa berkaitan dengan konteks zaman dari prosa klasik hingga kontemporer. Selain itu, mahasiswa juga diharapkan mampu memiliki kemampuan untuk mengkomunikasikan ide atau gagasan secara kritis, ilmiah, dan sistematis. Adapun materi yang diberikan meliputi 1. Konsep prosa, terdiri dari teori dan jenis prosa. 2. Sejarah perkembangan prosa di Inggris dan Amerika dari era klasik hingga kontemporer. 3. Unsur membangun prosa yang meliputi unsur intrinsik dan unsur ekstrinsik. Dan 4. adalah isu dominan di dalam prosa. Melalui mata kuliah ini, mahasiswa diharapkan 1. Mampu menguraikan pengetahuan kesusastraan, menerapkan pendekatan sastra, dan melakukan apresiasi kesusastraan sesuai dengan karakteristik teks dan genre sastra berbahasa Inggris. 2. Mampu merumuskan makalah ilmiah terkait kritik sastra. 3. Mampu mendemonstrasikan hasil analisis kritis prosa secara sistematis dan logis, baik melalui lisan maupun tertulis. Materi pembelajaran mata kuliah ini terdiri dari 7 pokok bahasan. 1. Teori prosa. 2. Jenis-jenis prosa. 3. Prosa klasik. 4. Prosa kontemporer. 5. Unsur intrinsik di dalam novel dan cerpen. 6. Unsur ekstrinsik di dalam novel dan cerpen. 7. Analisis isu dominan di dalam prosa meliputi politik, sosial, budaya, ekonomi, dan lingkungan. Dalam mata kuliah ini, dilakukan penilaian dengan bobot sebagai berikut. Komponen keaktifan memiliki bobot 5%. Selanjutnya, komponen tugas individu memiliki bobot 5%. Kemudian, komponen tugas kelompok memiliki bobot 45%. Komponen ujian tengah semester memiliki bobot sebesar 15%. Dan komponen ujian akhir semester memiliki bobot sebesar 30%. Berikut ini adalah salah satu contoh aktivitas perkuliahan mata kuliah PROSE yang dilakukan melalui pembelajaran sinkronus. Dalam pembelajaran ini akan dibahas materi terkait dengan analisis kritis pada cerita pendek atau novel melalui identifikasi isu dominan yang terdapat dalam karya sastra. Selamat menyaksikan. Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. How are you today? Okay, I do really hope that everyone you are in a good condition today. Okay, so today we are going to continue our material. Before we are going to continue our materials, the first I'd like to ask you, have you written the attendance list?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we are going to continue about the next material. It is about the analysis of dominant issues. Before we are discussing about dominant issues, I'd like to recall your memory from previous meetings. Do you still remember about some intrinsic and extrinsic elements in PROSE analysis? Anyone could answer?
Me, ma'am.
Yeah?
I still have my notes from the previous meeting. The intrinsic consists of plot, characters, settings, themes, tone, symbols, and etc. For the extrinsics, it consists of the backgrounds of the author and historical context of the works.
Okay, very good. So, after you have learned about the intrinsic and extrinsic elements, those are actually the foundation of understanding the dominant issue. So, before we are going further, anyone could answer my questions about what is actually dominant issue itself? Anyone? Okay.
I would like to answer, ma'am. I think about dominant issue, it has something to do with the main theme or the message that is trying to be conveyed, be it in prose, poem, or maybe short story.
All right, good. Next, anyone could answer the other definitions of dominant issues? Yeah?
As far as I know, it's about the main idea that is represented in the story, ma'am.
Okay, good. So, the dominant issue itself, actually the main problems or central idea, which is the focus of the story. And this analysis of dominant issues, actually the study of the main problems, which is revealed in literary works. And these issues could be social, political, economy, culture, gender, identity, or even environmental problems. Okay, anyone, could you give me the example of social issues?
Saya,
Anyone?
ma'am.
Yeah.
The example of social issues from me, there are class division or discrimination and poverty, ma'am.
Okay, poverty, it could be the social issues. How about the political? Anyone could answer what is the example of political issues?
Me, ma'am. The example of political issue is ideology, ma'am.
Ideology, all right, good. The example of political issues could be ideology. Next, how about gender, maybe? Anyone?
Ma'am.
Yeah?
An example of gender issues are stereotypes of women or men.
Okay, the stereotypes or even the gender roles of men and women. Good. Next, how about the environmental problems? Anyone?
Me, ma'am. The environmental issues example is environment destruction.
Okay, the example of environmental problems, environmental destruction. Good. So, these issues actually reflect the real world conditions, and these also serve the author critics toward the social life. And by using this approach, the students are expected to read the literary works not only as the stories, but also as the reflections or criticism in social reality. So, we are going to think why actually dominant issues matter in literary analysis. Because it reveals the ideological perspective of the author. Sometimes the author could reveal their ideological perspective or the message which are revealed by the author. And then it could help to situate the work within the social or historical context. And then they enrich the understanding of the characters, themes, and also conflicts. And the dominant issues also offer the critical insight into the author purpose or message. So here are the examples of dominant issues. The first is gender and patriarchy issues. The examples are inequality of gender roles between men and women, and the stereotypes of men and women. And then the next is social issues. Social issues could be poverty, class divide, racial or ethnic discriminations, and also injustice. The next is political issues. Just like your friend said, the example of political issues is ideology. Yeah, it could be the power, the corruptions, or even ideology. And then the next is cultural issues. Cultural issues usually could be the modernity versus traditions. And then environmental issues, yeah, it could be the environmental destruction, it could be exploitation of the nature, or even ecological crisis. And then, after you have known about the examples of dominant issues, so the next step is how do we do the dominant issues analysis. Apa saja sih langkah-langkahnya gitu ya untuk melakukan analisis dominant issue. The first, you have to read and understand the text entirely. So you have to understand, you have to read the whole text. When you read the novel, you have to complete it after you have read the novel or the short stories. You can identify the intrinsic elements. And then you can identify the main themes in the story and identify the dominant issues from conflict, characters, and narrative. That's why at the beginning I ask you, what is the intrinsic elements? What is the extrinsic elements? So you have to understand those elements as the foundation of dominant issues analysis. And then the next is you have to analyze the impact and moral message which are conveyed by the author. The last, you have to connect the social-political context with the time when the work was written or created. So, when you read the novel or short stories, and then you identify the intrinsic element first, after that you have to identify what are the conflicts that actually occur very often. So, you can draw about the dominant issues from the story. Okay, here are the example of elements in the story that could help you to do the dominant issue analysis. Because in intrinsic elements, they have each role in presenting dominant issue. For the example, characters. It represents social groups or ideology. And then, setting situates the issues in a real or symbolic place. Conflict. It shows the struggle that caused by the issue. And then theme, it reinforces the issues through repeated ideas. And narrative voice, it reveals bias, critique, or even advocacy. And the last one, symbolism. It encodes deeper meanings which relate to the issue. So, if you understand these elements, in particular in intrinsic elements, that's the strong foundations for you to do the dominant issue analysis. Do you got my point, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions about this one first?
No, ma'am.
Okay, good. This is the example of the story. The title is Great Gatsby. This is the American work. We can find the dominant issues in the story. It is about the illusion of the American dream and social class divide. We can find this dominant issue through the Gatsby's pursuit of love and success, through wealth expose the emptiness of the American dreams. And this novel critiques a society where the true status comes from the old money, and it also shows the rigid social stratification in 1920s America. Yeah, look at this example of article. Here you can find this article in this website. Sorry. This is the example of the article. You can find this article in this website. The title of this article is Women Empowerment in Comparison to Asian Female Gender Roles and Stereotypes in Crazy Rich Asian Novels. And this article actually the product of the ability of students in doing the dominant issue analysis. And this was written by your senior and also assisted by me about the gender roles and the stereotypes. You can find from the title of this article shows about the dominant issue. And you can read this article completely in that website. So when you are doing the dominant issues analysis, you have to focus of the intrinsic elements first and then the extrinsic elements. Okay, any questions about this?
I want to ask a question, ma'am.
All right.
So, do we need to use the theories you've mentioned in the slides in regards to the dominant issue analysis?
Pardon?
Do we need to use the theories you've mentioned in the slide when we are doing dominant issue analysis?
Okay, so when you are doing the dominant issues analysis, could apply some theories to underlie your analysis. For the example, you can use the sociological theory, you can use feminism, you can use the Marxist, or even the other theories. And this could strengthen your analysis in dominant issues. So you can read this article completely. Okay, next, reflections. After you heard about my explanation in dominant issues, could you give me some words by your own about the summary of dominant issues and how this dominant issue could be relevant today? Anyone could give? Yeah.
So what I got here is that the dominant issue is the main problem as the focus of the story that could be social, political, economics, cultural, and it's to reflect real world's condition, and it also could be relevant since it reveals the civilization from the past until now, ma'am.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, everyone. So I think after I explained about the dominant issue analysis, and I'm quite sure that you have understood about these materials. And then the last thing that I'm going to tell you, it is about the assignment. So I'm going to give you 2 weeks for completing this assignment. You have to write down the dominant issues analysis from the short stories or novels, any kinds of novels or short stories, whatever. You can find that from the English or American literature. And then you have to write down an essay to analyze the dominant issues in 1,000 under 1,500 words. And then you have to use the textual evidence to support your interpretation. Include, you have to do analyze about the characters, setting, theme, and narrative voice. Any questions about the assignment?
No, ma'am.
Okay, if there is no more question, I'm quite sure that you have understood this assignment, and I do really hope that you can do this task in 2 weeks. Okay, so I think today is enough. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time, your coming, and also your participation for today. See you next meeting, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Demikianlah gambaran dari salah satu aktivitas pembelajaran mata kuliah PROSE di program studi Sastra Inggris Universitas Negeri Jakarta. Saya, Dwi Linda Kusuma SS M.Hum, dosen program studi Sastra Inggris Universitas Negeri Jakarta, mohon undur diri. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.